back to another video in Next.js. So in this video, we'll be building a full stack developer portfolio in Next.js and Sanity. So if you find this interesting, please hit the like button and also subscribe for more such content. So let's get started. So it's really useful for one to have their own developers portfolio so that they can share the information regarding their projects, experiences, and about themselves as well. So we're going to build up this portfolio in this video. So firstly, let's look into the demo of it. So as you can see, this is the initial view of our portfolio. Okay, so we have a basic header at the top with the person's name, and towards the right we have two buttons. If you press on it, it's going to take us to the LinkedIn of that particular person and the GitHub account of that particular person. And over here towards the left we have a bunch of unique information regarding that person, and towards the right we have a unique kind of animation, as you can see. So after that we have the experience cards coming in. So all of this data is currently coming up from the backend, that is Sanity. So if at all you want to change something, if at all you want to change the experience card, you can go and change the backend. Automatically it's going to get reflected over here. Okay, so that's the experience part. So after that we have something known as the skills part. So you can add as many skills as you want, and you can also give, and you can also show how much information you possess for that particular skill, as you can see over here. Okay, so that's the skills part of it. So after that we have something known as about section, where I've written a short description about myself. So over here you can write a short description of your experiences, like how you started and something like that. And apart from that we have the final thing, that is the contact form, where the other person can contact you if at all they liked your portfolio. So we have the contact form designed over here. So we're going to make this look simple, and we're going to design this with a good UI just like this. So if you find this interesting, hit the like button and let's get started with the project right away. So the first step is to create a Next.js application. So let's go do that. So firstly, inside my terminal, I'm going to go into my build folder, and over here I'm going to say npx create next app at latest. So now I'm going to press on enter. So this should ask us a bunch of questions. So first is what's your project name. So here I'm going to say developer portfolio. You can give any name you want to, and I'm going to press on enter. So TypeScript, no. Would you like to use ESLint? Yes. Tailwind CSS, yes. Do you want the source directory? I'm going to press on yes. And for this I'm going to press on yes, that is the app router. And for this I'm going to press on no. And yeah, it's going to take in a couple of minutes to create us the project structure, that is with this project name, that is developer portfolio. So let's give it a couple of minutes. Okay guys, so our project has been initialized, as you can see, successfully created developer portfolio. So now the next step is you're going to go into this particular folder, that is developer portfolio. So I'm going to say file, open folder, go into my build folder, and then developer portfolio. Okay, so this is basically the initial boilerplate code that Next.js has given us when we initialize our Next.js project. Okay, so as you can see, there is a source directory created inside of the main project structure, and inside the source directory there is the app router, as you can see. Okay, and this is the main page.js where all of the boilerplate code is present. So now firstly, the first step is we're going to run the app. Okay, so I'm going to press on terminal, new terminal. So currently we are in the developer portfolio folder. So here I'm going to say yarn run dev, and I'm going to press on enter. So this should fire up the application on this particular URL, that is localhost 3001. So I'm going to press on this link. So as you can see, whatever code is present inside of our app, inside of our page.js, so same thing is going to be shown over here as well, as you can see. So let's go and make some changes required. So let's go into page.js, and then we're going to remove everything, that is all of the divs inside the main block. So I'm going to remove all of the 3 divs, and then save the file, and then come back to the web page. So as you can see, it's currently black. So we're going to remove the styles, that is the default styles given in the globals.css file. So I'm going to remove all of this and then save the file. Okay, so now it is in the correct white background. So now the next change is we're going to go into the page.js and then write a basic p tag. Here I'm going to say my developer portfolio, something like this, and save the file. So as you can see, we're able to see that text coming towards the center part of the screen, but we want everything to start from the leftmost part, right, towards the top left part, that is over here. So to make that change, we're going to remove everything that is there inside of the class name. So this is the way we give the tailwind styles inside of the class name. So save the file, and as you can see, everything is starting from the top left part. So from here we're going to start building up our contents. Okay, so as you previously saw, the first thing that we need to look into is the header part. So we're going to style up the header. So before that, we're going to create our components folder over here. So I'm going to press on app, and I'm going to create new folder, components, and inside the components, firstly I'm going to create my first component, that is the header.js file. I'm going to press on RFCE to get the shorthand snippet. So to get the shorthand snippet, you need to have installed ES7 inside your systems. So if you check out the extensions tab over here, you need to install this particular dependency, that is ES7 React Redux or React Native snippets, to get all of the shorthand code snippets. Okay, so let's go back over here and then start designing the header. So firstly over here, I'm going to make use of the header tag instead of the div. So here I'm going to say header, and inside the header I'm going to initialize the main div. So this div is going to contain 3 divs, that is the left part. Okay, so the left part, the mid part, and the right part. So let's start designing the left part first. So this is going to have one more div. So the left part basically contains the name of the user. So here I'm going to make use of the span tag. So the first thing, I'm going to write my name over here, and with the help of another span tag over here, I'm going to write the last name, just like this. Okay, so firstly let's give the styling for the span over here. So here I'm going to say class name. So it's going to be text of Excel, and we're going to give a text of white, cursor pointer, we're going to give a font of bold, and margin left of 2. Okay, and we're going to give the style for this second name, that is the last name. So here I'm going to say class name text slate of 400 and a font of bold. Okay, so let's save the file, and the next step is we're going to include this particular header component into our page.js. So let's remove the p tag. So here I'm going to say import header from the from the components folder, like this. So save the file, and then we're going to go over here. So let's refresh once. So as you can see, we're able to see the second part because the background is white, right? So firstly, let's change the background of the entire screen over here so that the header looks better. So firstly, to make that change, let's come into the let's come over here itself into the page.js. Let's give the style to the main block. So here I'm going to say height of screen, overflow y of scroll. Okay, so we're going to give a kind of gradient over here. So here I'm going to say bg gradient to bottom. Okay, it's going to have this value, that is from slate 800 to stone 600. I'm going to use this background color. You can use any color of your choice as well. So I'm going to format once and then save the file. So let's check out our web page. So as you can see, this background is looking good. Okay, so now we're able to see the username as well. So that's fine. So now the next step is we're going to continue designing the left part of the header. So yeah, after this part, we have the middle part. So I'm going to say div. So this is going to contain 3 things. So firstly, with the help of p tag, it's going to have the about section. And after that, we have the skills section. So about, and then skills. After that, we have the contact section. So here I'm going to say contact. So save the file. As you can see, we're able to see all of the 3 p tags being displayed on the screen. So now we're going to design the final part, that is the right part. So I'm going to say div. So here it needs to be a button. So first button is going to say LinkedIn. Okay, and the second button is going to be GitHub. Just like this. Save the file. So let's give the style for the buttons now itself. Okay, So yeah, I'm gonna say class name. So the way the styling works in Tailwind CSS is whatever style you give for the starting point, it's gonna apply to the initial screen, that is the mobile screen. And after that, we have different kinds of breakpoints. That is a small breakpoint, the medium breakpoint, the large breakpoint, and the extra large breakpoint. So for each different kinds of devices, that is for each different kinds of breakpoint, you can give the particular style. Okay, so here I'm going to say hidden. So that means inside the mobile screen, I want this particular button to be hidden. Okay, so for that reason, I've given hidden in the class name. So from the medium screen onwards, I want this button to be seen. So here I'm going to say inline block. Okay, and I'm going to say text of white, and I wanted to give a BG blue of 500, some padding X of 4, and then padding Y of 2. I want it to be rounded full, so I'm going to say rounded full. And let's also give the hover functionality. So here I'm going to say hover, make the BG blue to be 600. So BG blue is going to be 600. Okay, so format once and save the file. Let's check out the button. So as you can see, we're able to hover and the button is looking good. So let's give the styling for the next one, that is GitHub. So here I'm going to say I want it to have a border. So class name. Firstly, I want a border for this. So border is going to be of this type, that is border gray of 500, padding X of 4, padding Y of 2, basically text of white, and I'm going to say rounded up full again. Okay, so save the file. Let's check out the web page. So as you can see, that's looking good. So let's also give cursor pointer over here as well. So I'm going to say cursor pointer. Alright, so now we're going to give the style for the outermost div that contains all of the three divs, that is the left part, middle part, and the right part. So here I'm going to say class name. So firstly, I wanted to have a margin X of 10, that is horizontal spacing, and in the small screen I wanted to have MX auto like this, and a max width of 6 XL. Okay, and padding X of 4, that is x-axis or spacing, and I want to say flex items center, and then justify between. And after that, I wanted to have a border. Border is going to be this type, that is border zinc 600, just like this, and it's going to have some internal spacing, that is padding of 3, and a rounded of full. So just like this, you need to be seeing the header being designed. So format once and save the file. So as you can see, that's looking better. So now we're going to give some spacing towards the y-axis. So we're going to target the header over here. So firstly, class name. Here I'm going to say padding Y of 4. Okay, that's looking fine. So we need to design this part now, that is the middle part. So let's go over here. So here I'm going to give the class name. So basically I want it to be hidden in the small screens, that is in the mobile screen. So I'm going to give hidden, that is the default styling that's going to get applied to the mobile screen. So from the small screen onwards, I want it to have flex. So I'm going to say small screen flex, flex of row, and I'm going to say space X of 4. That means give space of space of 4 between all of the three p tags. So space X of 4, save the file. So as you can see, that's looking good now. So now we're going to give the styling for the p tags. So firstly, I'm going to say class name. It's going to have a text of white. So text white, cursor pointer. Okay, save the file. So I'm going to just copy this and give it for all of the p tags over here. Yep, that's looking good. Okay, so now we're going to give we're going to go to the last div, right part, and give the class name. So it's going to have a flex. It's going to have flex a row. Okay, that's not needed. We're going to give a space X of 3, and it's going to have item center. So yep, that's the style for the right part. So save the file, and yep, I think that's looking good. Okay, so yeah, we have designed the header in a nice way. So now the next step is we're going to start designing the next part, that is the body component. So I'm going to create a new folder, new file inside of my components folder, that is body.js. Okay, so rfce, then save the file. So to design the body component, I'm going to install some dependencies required. So I'm going to open up my terminal over here. So here I'm going to say yarn add react simple type writer. Okay, so I'm going to press enter. Apart from this, we need access to Lottie web as well. So after this gets installed, we're going to say yarn add Lottie web. So here I'm going to write yarn add Lottie web, enter. Okay, so both of them have been installed. So now the next step is we're going to import the body component into the page.js over here. I'm going to say import body from the components folder, just like this. And let's check out the web page, refresh. As you can see, we're able to see the body component being rendered on the screen. So now let's start designing the body.js file. So firstly, here I'm going to make use of my section tag. Let's give the basic styling to this. So class name. So here it's going to be padding y of 8. Okay. And let's start designing the section part. So it's going to have a div basically. So inside this, we're going to have the first part. So here I'm going to say the first part. Let's initialize another div for this. So I'm going to say div. Inside this, we have the left part of the basic details that are going to come, that is the buttons. So here I'm going to say one more div. Okay, so over here, firstly, I'm going to initialize my h1 tag. So I'm going to say h1. So this is going to contain basically the span. So inside the span, we're going to write the text that used to come from the React simple typewriter. So firstly, let's initialize our text at the top part over here. So firstly, here I'm going to say const text comma count. You can actually get this piece of code from the documentation as well. So here I'm going to say use typewriter. So this is going to take in an object. We're going to pass in the words array, whatever we want to write. So first thing I'm going to say my name. So I'm going to say hi, my name is this. And the second sentence is going to be learn with me. You can add any kind of sentences over here. And here I'm going to say I love to code more. Okay, so here I'm going to write loop is going to be true, and we're going to pass in the delay speed as well. So delay speed is going to be 2000. So save the file. So inside of the span tag, firstly, I'm gonna make use of the text. So I'm going to just pass in the text, and we also need that cursor that you saw previously. So let us firstly import cursor from React simple typewriter. So import cursor. So after the span tag, I want the cursor to be seen. So just it's gonna be in the form of a component. So save the file. Let's check out the web page. Okay, yeah, I think we need to add our directive, that is the client directive. So here I'm going to say use client. This is the convention that we need to use. So use client, just to differentiate between the client components and the server component. So this is basically a client component, so we need to write the directive that is use client. So save the file, and as you can see, we're able to see that typewriter working good. So now we need to just make the changes for the design, that is the style and the color of the text. So let's come to the h1 tag and start giving the class name to this. So I'm going to say class name. So here I'm going to say text of 3xl, and we're going to give from the large screen, I wanted to have a text of 5xl. So text of 5xl, and it's going to have basically a font of semi-bold. Okay, so save the file, and we're going to give the class name for the span. So margin right of 3, and it's going to have a text of white, and save the file. Okay, so let's yeah, white is also looking good. Let's give text slate of 400. You can actually keep white as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this, that is text slate of 400. And yep, after that we're gonna give the style for the outermost div, that is this one, that's containing the all of the contents of the part that's gonna come towards the left. So basically class name, I'm gonna say width of full, flex column, and we're gonna give item start. From the medium screen I want to have a width of 2 by 4 and margin top should be 0. And from the medium screen I want the margin top to be 20. So format once and save the file. Alright, so now we're gonna give the style for this particular div, that is it's gonna contain this div that comes towards the left and another div that I'm gonna design, that is basically the animation part. So over here I'm gonna say class name, it's gonna be flex column reverse. So flex column reverse in the sense when you see it in the mobile screen, the second part of the div, that is animation, is going to show up first, and this particular design, that is the information regarding the user, it's going to show up second. So that's the main usage of flex column reverse. I'm going to say justify between medium, it's going to be flex row, and medium it's going to be space x of 8. Okay, by default it's going to be flex column, that is in the mobile screens. So save the file, and over here I'm going to give the class name, basically some padding x of 4 and mx of auto. Let's check out the web page. As you can see, that's looking better. So now we're going to start giving all of the other details, that is after the h1 tag. So here I'm going to say p tag, here I'm going to write I am a front end, a developer who shares programming knowledge with the community. So yeah, let's give the class name for the p tag over here. So basically a text of white, okay, text of excel. From medium I need it to have a text of 2 excel, margin bottom of 3, margin top of 2. So save the file, and yeah, I think that's looking better. You're able to see the text on the screen. After that we have the div coming in, which is going to contain two kinds of buttons. So here I'm going to say button. So button, here it's going to say learn more. The second button is going to be contact. Okay, so let's give the style for the button. So class name over here, so I'm going to give bg blue of 400 and basically a text of white, and we're going to give padding x of 4, padding y of 1, I wanted to have rounded, and margin right of 4, and if I hover on it I want to give it bg blue of 600. So hover bg blue of 600. Save the file. So as you can see, that's looking better. So now class name for the next button over here, so here I'm going to give a bg gray of 300. So bg gray of 300, text gray of 700, padding x of 4, padding y of 1, rounded, and if I hover on it I need it to be bg gray of 400. So save the file, and as you can see, both the buttons are looking better. Alright, that's looking good. So now after that we need another p tag, which is going to contain the UI style. So here I'm going to say coding learnings and lifestyle. Okay, let's give the class name for this. Text blue of 500. Text is going to be small. Font is going to be normal this time, and it's going to have a margin top of 2, so empty of 2. So yeah, it's looking good. So yeah, after the p tag you can have another h1 tag over here saying the number of years of experience and other kinds of information. So here I'm going to say 2 years of experience. Yeah, 2 years of experience and 5 projects completed. You can write something like this. Let's give the class name for the h1 tag over here. So basically text of white or text of slate 400, you can give anything, text of Excel, and save the file. So yeah, that part is looking better. All right, so yes, that's looking good. So now the next part we'll be looking into is the animation part that's gonna come towards the right part of the screen, right? So firstly let's design that. Let's give space for that. So this is the first part. Okay, and this is gonna be, I think yeah, I think we need to minimize this one. It's gonna come over here, div. Okay, so firstly let's initialize the use effect for this so that we can start seeing on the screen. Okay, so firstly I'm going to import my assets data, that is it's going to be in the form of a JSON, which I'll be sending in the description. You can just copy that and paste it into your code. Okay guys, I've just pasted the code for the animation data over here with the help of the require method. So I've created a new folder, that is the assets folder, inside of my public directory. So go into the public directory, press on new folder, create an assets folder, and inside the assets folder create any file you want with a .json extension. So here I've given it as projects.json extension, and I've just pasted this particular code. Okay, so I'll be sending this particular file in the description. You can just copy that out and then you can use it in the assets folder. So yeah, this is the correct path, that is the animation data. So here I'm going to initialize my ref. So here I'm going to say const container equals to use ref of null. Import your use ref from React, so use ref as well as use effect. Okay, so here I'm going to say use effect. Alright, so here firstly initialize Lottie, import it from Lottie web that we installed, just like this. So here I'm going to say Lottie, this needs to be in small letters. So Lottie over here also, you're going to say Lottie. So here I'm going to write Lottie dot, with the help of load animation method, we're going to pass in a bunch of options. So here container, it's going to be container dot the current value, because we're making use of the use ref. Okay, so inside use ref there is something known as the current object that is going to return us the value. So we're going to say renderer. So renderer is going to be svg. I'm going to say loop is going to be true, autoplay also true, and we're going to say animation data is going to be this particular animation data that we have just defined with the help of the require method. So it's going to work based on this dependency, that is animation data. So I've passed that over here. So yep, that's it. So format once, hopefully no error should be there. Yeah, so now let's come to the div over here, that is a right section, and here I'm going to initialize my another div. Okay, we're going to give the reference to this. So this reference is going to be the container itself that we have defined with the help of use ref hook. Okay, and yep, let's give the styling for this. So class name, so in the medium screen I wanted to have a width of 1/2 from the medium screen onwards, and yep, so it is going to be auto, padding top of 2, and in the medium screen margin top should be 0. So yep, format once, and let's check over here. As you can see, we are able to see the correct animation on the screen. So now the next step is we're gonna design this part in such a way that it comes towards the correct center part, so it looks even more better. So let's come back over here. So we're gonna go over here towards this div, and we're gonna make this a container so that it fits to the particular width of that particular breakpoint, right? So here I'm gonna say container for this, and for the bottom div as well, that is over here. So here I'm going to say class name container. So format once, you can just check out what the container does in the Tailwind CSS docs. Okay, so yeah, save the file, and as you can see now it's looking better. So if you check this out in the small screen, it's going to look like this. So first this is going to come, and after that you'll be able to see this particular design. Okay, so this is completely responsive as well. Okay, so now after this part we're going to design the next part, that is the experience cards. So firstly I'm going to create a new component over here, that is experience.js. okay, rfce. So save the file. So here firstly I'm gonna import the cards data required to design the cards component. So this cards data is basically an array of objects. Okay, so it's going to contain basically the name, the image, the title, and then the description. You can add whatever description you want to in the description array. So I'll be sending all of the data in the description. You can just check that out. Okay, so with the help of this data we're going to start and design the experience component. So firstly I'm going to make use of my fragment over here, and firstly I'm going to initialize my h2 tag over here, or h3 tag, which says experience, just like this, and we're going to give the class name for the h3 tag. So here I'm going to say firstly tracking, it's going to be of 20 pixels. So we're going to write it like this, and I'm going to give mx of auto. Okay, and I'm going to say text of center, margin bottom of 10, I want it to be uppercase, text gray of 400, and text is going to be 2xl. So save the file, and let's import this component, that is experience component, into our page.js over here. So here I'm going to say import experience from the components folder, and let's refresh once. Okay, I guess we do not want the icon, so let's remove that out from the data. So here in the experience.js file, let's remove out the icon, and over here as well. Okay, so as you can see, you're able to see that experience coming on the screen. So now we're going to start and map over all of the posts, and then we're going to design this. So after h3 we're going to initialize our div tag over here. So firstly I'm going to map over the posts. So I'm going to say posts.map. So for every item and then the index, I'm going to return a new div. Here I'm going to say div. So firstly let's give the key for this, it's going to be index. So over here inside the div, the first thing we're going to show is the image. So for that I'm going to write one more div where we have the image tag being shown. So I'm going to say image. So here I'm going to say firstly source, it's going to be item.image to access the image. So let's firstly give the class name for the image. So it's going to be a rounded of full, width of 32, a height of 32, mx of auto, and on the medium screen I want mx to be 0, and object of contain. Okay, that's the style for the image. Save the file, and okay, post is not there, it's going to be cards data. So let's see how it's looking. Yeah, so as you can see, we're able to see all of the cards, all of the images being shown on the screen. So now after the image we're going to show the h4 tag, right? So here I'm going to say h4. So this is going to be basically the item.name, that is basically for the position. So save the file. Okay, as you can see, we're able to see that on the screen, and after that we're going to show basically the description. So I'm going to make use of a UL tag over here. So here we have access to the description. We're going to map over the card.description over here. As you can see, description is an array. We're going to map over the description, and then show the results. So here I'm going to say card dot description dot map. So for every point and then the index, I'm going to return basically a li tag. So here it's going to be li. So it's going to be point itself to access that particular value. So let's give the key for this. It's going to be index. All right, and we're going to give the styling for the UL over here. So class name, it's going to be a text of Excel, a text of white. So I'm going to say text white, and I'm going to give a font of bold. Okay, and then text of center, a margin bottom of 2, margin top of 4. All right, so save the file. Card or description does not exist. Okay, we're gonna make this as item. It should be item, not card. So yep, yeah, so as you can see, we're able to see the description being shown. So we're gonna style out basically the outer part of the div that is gonna contain all of the contents, that is basically the image, the h4 tag and the ul tag. So that's gonna happen over here, that is this div. So firstly, class name, we're gonna give bg slate of let's say 400, some internal padding, so padding of 6. I'm going to say rounded is going to be large, so rounded LG, and I wanted to have a shadow of medium. Okay, now we're going to give the style for the outermost div over here. So class name, firstly we're going to say a max width of 6xl, so max width 6xl. We're going to say mx auto, and we're going to give padding x of 8, and on the large screen I want the padding x to be 0. Okay, here I'm going to initialize my grid container as well, so I'm going to say grid, and I want it to have a grid calls of 1. Okay, so basically grid calls of 1 is going to get applied for the mobile screens. So from the large screen onwards, I want it to be grid calls of 3. So I'm going to say grid calls of 3, a margin top of 8, and then a bottom of, let's say 20. Okay, so this is the required changes, that is for the styling of the outermost div. So save the file, and yep, just like that, it's looking okay. So now we need to style this up a little bit, so let's do that. So we're going to give the style for this particular div that's going to contain the image. So firstly, flex item center, justify center. So this comes to the center part of the container, right? So yep, let's see that. As you can see, that's coming to the center part of the container. So apart from that, let's give the styling for the h4 tag. So basically class name, so here I'm going to say text of Excel, text of white, and a font of bold, and we're going to give a margin bottom of 2 and a margin top of 4. So that's for the item.name, that is this one. So I think we need to make this look a bit more smaller. Okay, so let's give the styling for the class name over here, that is for UL. So here we're going to say, instead of font bold, let's make it as font as light, and text should be towards the left instead of center. And here I'm going to say list is going to be of type disk. So yep, I think that's looking okay. All right, so now we're going to give the space between all of this. So I think over here we can give that mx of 2, I guess. Yep, I think that's looking good. Or you can increase it to be, let's say 4. Yep, I think that's looking better. Okay, so you can add many points as you want over here. You can change each description over here for each of the card that is present. So that's it about the experience. Okay, so now the next thing we'll be looking into is we're gonna design the skills part of it. So to do that, firstly, let's come over here to the components folder, create a new component known as skills.js. Okay, so rfce to get the shorthand snippet. So save the file. So here firstly I'm going to import my data required to design the skills component. Okay, so basically it is a skills array. So again, it is an array of objects where we have the ID, the image which we are not using in this, and we have the progress, and we have the type of the skill. Alright, so with the help of this skills array, we're going to start designing the skills component. So firstly, over here I need access to my h3 tag which says skills. So I'm going to copy the same kind of design that we gave to the experience component, that is for the h3 tag over there. So firstly I'm going to say tracking of 20 pixels. Okay, firstly I wanted to have uppercase, so I'm going to write uppercase over here, and I'm going to say text gray of 500. So text gray of 500 and then text of 2xl. So save the file. Let's include the skills inside of our experience, inside of a page.js file. So save the file over here. So let us refresh once, and yeah, as you can see, we're able to see that skills towards the left part over here. So yeah, let's come back over here, and we're gonna I think I forgot to give mx auto. Save the file, and so I think I forgot to give one more thing, that is text of center to the h3 tag. Okay, so save the file, and now after that we're going to initialize a div field over here. So inside the div field I want to have one more div field, that is so this is for the left part, and again we have a kind of animation that's going to come towards the right part. Alright, so firstly let's design the left part over here. So this is going to basically say map over the skills. So I'm going to say skills.map. So for every item and then the index, just return a whole new component. So I'm going to create a new file inside of my components folder, that is going to be single skill.js. So rfce, save the file. So let's come back to the skills.js file, and here import that skill component from that particular file. Okay, so here we're going to pass in basically the key, that's going to be index, and keys index, and we're going to pass in item also, that is all of the information that is present for each skill. So save the file. Okay, as you can see, we are able to see the skill components being rendered over here. So now firstly we're going to go into the skill.js, and then we're going to start designing it. So firstly, access the item over here. We're going to destructure it. So I'm going to say item. So firstly, inside the div, I'm going to access my p tag, all right, to show the skill type. So it's going to be item.type to access the skill type. So let's give the class name for this. So it's going to be a text of white. So text of white, and then text of left. So save the file, and as you can see we have all the skills on the screen. So now we're going to give the style for this outermost div. So class name. So before giving over here, we're going to initialize our progress bar. So initialize a div for that. So one more div for this as well. So over here we're going to say the class name. Basically it's going to have a bg green of bg green of 600 over here, and it's going to have a specific height, let's say 2.5, and it's going to be rounded of full. All right, so this is the internal part of the container where we're going to give the style for this. So whatever a progress is there for that particular skill, we're just going to show that as the width. So we're going to say width is going to be item dot progress. Okay, so for the outermost div, it's going to contain a different background color. So we're going to say class name. Firstly I'm going to say width of full, bg gray of 200, and I'm going to say rounded full, and height of basically 2.5. Okay, so save the file. Okay, so let's also give let's remove bg gray of 200, and we're going to use bg gray of 700. So bg gray of 700. Okay, so as you can see, based on whatever that particular progress is, we're going to show that over here. So once we design it, it's going to look proper. So firstly, let's come back over here to the skills.js, and we're going to give the style for this particular div. So I'm going to say class name. So from the medium screen onwards, I want the width to be 1/2. Okay, and I wanted to have grid, that is grid calls of 3, and then basically a gap of 5. So I'm going to say gap 5. So save the file. So as you can see, now they're in 3 columns because we've given grid columns of 3 from the medium screen onwards. Okay, that's looking better. So now towards the right side, we're just going to copy the same thing that we did earlier. Okay, so that is inside of our body. So just copy this piece of code. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. So paste it over here, and also copy the use effect also, that is from the body.js component, and you're going to paste it over here. Make sure you import use effect as well, use effect, and then we need use ref also. All right, so now the next step is we're going to initialize the animation. So let's format once over here. So I have just imported this line, that is animation data equals to hello.json. Okay, so I've created a new folder, a new file inside of my assets folder, and then import the required data. So I'll be sending both of the files, that is hello.json as well as projects.json, so that you can use the files in your skills.js file. All right, so now yeah, pretty much it should show. So over here, so as you can see, we need to import that use client directive to just say that this is a client component. So I'm going to say use client over here and save the file. So let's come back over here. Okay, Lottie is not defined, so let's do that. Let's import Lottie from Lottie web. Save the file and let's check out our web page. So as you can see, we're able to see that animation coming on the screen. So now we're going to give the style for this particular outermost div. Not this one, which contains both the divs. So class name, first it's going to be a container, and I'm going to give mx of auto, basically max width of 6 XL. We're going to give flex column in the sense, we're going to give flex column reverse. That means flex column reverse, flex and flex column reverse is going to get applied for the small screen, that is the mobile screen. From the medium screen onwards, I want it to be flex of row, that means come in the row. Then I'm going to say items of center. So here I'm going to say item center and justify between. All right, so yep, save the file and let's check it out here. So I'm not sure why it's coming 2 times. Refresh once. Yeah, I think that's looking better. Okay, so yes, that's looking nice. So we're going to give the style for the final thing, that is the outermost div over here. So firstly, we're going to say flex column if there is something else. So here I'm going to say text center. In the Excel screen or from the large screen, you can make it as a flex row. So flex row. Okay, and we're going to say max width of, let's say 200 pixels, not 200, 2000 pixels. And we're going to say justify of center, item center as well. So yep, save the file and refresh. Okay, I think I don't think that was required. Okay, because we have the h3 tag, and yeah, I think let's remove this out. That's not required. We can remove the flex row, or I think we can pretty much remove everything from here and save the file. Yep, I think that's looking better. I think this is looking good. Okay, yep, so I think that's it about the skills component. So the next thing we'll be looking into is the final thing, that is the contact, right? So I'm going to say contact.js and rfce to get the shorthand snippet. So here we're going to design the contact screen, contact.js component, where we initialize a form so that others can contact you with the help of the email message. So let's get started with the design over here. So firstly, we're gonna initialize our h3 tag over here. So basically, we're just gonna copy the same h3 tag that was there previously in the other components, right? So let's go over here to the skills. So just copy this out and we're gonna paste it over here. And instead of skills, it's gonna be contact.
So I'm going to say contact. So now the next step is, I think we need to import this in the main page.js. So here I'm going to say import the contact component from the components folder, just like this. So save the file and let's check out our web page. So as you can see, we're able to see contact at the bottom part of the screen. So now let's continue with the design part of the contact screen. Okay, contact component. So after the h3 tag, I'm going to initialize my div just like this, and inside the div we're going to have icons, and along with the icons we're going to have the p tag as well. So let's initialize one more div. So firstly here I'm going to write a comment. I'm going to get the icons just after I initialize my p tag. So this p tag is going to give my mail. Okay, so you can write in your mail over here, something like this, and we're going to write one more div that is for, let's say, the address field. So here also I'm gonna get the icon. So firstly here you can give the address. Alright, so now the next step is I'm gonna get the required icons. That is, one is the envelope icon and the second one is the map icon. Okay guys, so I've just copied the icon over here and I've given the class name, that is height of 8, width of 8 and animate of pulse. Okay, and I've imported the required icons from this particular dependency, that is hero icons / react and 24 and then solid. So for the second one also same design, it's going to be the map pin icon. So let's save the file. Let's check out our web page if it's visible. Okay, let's see. I think let's check out the format of the icons we have imported firstly in other components, if there are any. Okay, I think there is icon in the just a minute, let's comment this out firstly, that is in the contact part. Let's also remove this or comment this out. Yeah, so let's see where we have icons. Okay, so there are no icons. So yep, let's, so I think the package is not installed, I guess. So let's look into the package.json once. Okay, so let us search for hero icons. So yep, it's not installed. So let's install this this required package. So I'm gonna open up a new terminal over here and I'm gonna say yarn add hero icons / react. So it gets installed over here. So let's give it some time. Okay, now it is installed. So let's go back to the contact.js. Let's uncomment the div tag and even this as well. So hopefully we should be seeing the icons now. So save the file and yep, as you can see, we're able to see the map icon, the map icon as well as the envelope icon. So that is good. So now we're going to give the design for the div that contains this. So I'm going to say class name flex items of center. I want it to be a space x of 5 between both the children, so space x of 5, and I'm going to say justify of center. So I'm going to give the same piece of styling for the second container as well, that is the second div, just like this. And over here for this div I'm going to say class name, give it some space y of 3. So save the file and yep, as you can see, that's looking better. Let's increase the space y. Let's give it to be, let's say 5. Okay, that's fine. So now we're going to give the style for the outermost container, that is this one. So I'm going to say class name firstly, height is going to be of screen, and firstly we're going to say flex relative. That's going to be type of flex column. So I'm going to say flex column over here, and first of all text of center. In the medium screen we're going to say text left, and in the medium screen I want it to be text row as well, so text row. And after that we're going to give the max width, of course. We're going to give 7 XL, and we're going to say justify around. okay, sorry, justify evenly, and mx auto items of center. This is styling for the outermost container. So save the file, and okay, that's looking fine. So I think we need to bring this towards the topmost part. Let's look into that. So firstly, we're gonna style the next part, that is the form attribute that's gonna happen after this particular div. So we're gonna initialize a form tag over here, and it's gonna have the div. So this div is going to contain two inputs. Okay, so firstly input over here and input over here as well. So it's going to have different placeholders. So I'm going to say placeholder firstly, it's going to be name, and this placeholder is going to be email. Okay, so this is going to have a type for the input. So type is going to be of text, and we're going to have this type also, that's going to be type of email. All right, so now we're going to give the class name for this. So class name, so I'm just going to paste in the styles, that is outline of none, bg slate of 400 by 10, rounded is going to be small, padding x, that is spacing on the horizontal, that is of 6, padding y of 4, text gray of 500, and this is the placeholder gray of 500. So I'm going to copy the same piece of styling for the second input as well. Okay, so this is going to be for the name and email. So after this div, we're going to have one more input field, that's going to be for the subject. Okay, so here I'm going to say placeholder subject, and then type is going to be of text over here, and I'm gonna give the class name. So it's gonna be the same thing that is for the previous one we've given. After that, we have something known as the text area, where they can enter the required message. So I'm going to say text area, initialize the tag, and over here I think it's going to be a self-enclosing, or we can make it like this also. So over here we're going to give the placeholder, which is going to say message, and after that we have of course the class name. I'm going to copy the same piece of styling that we gave for the previous one. Alright, so that's for the text area. Finally, we have the button to submit to us, right? So here I'm going to say button. It's going to have a type over here. So type is going to be a submit. Alright, we're going to give the class name for the button, basically bg blue of 500, padding x of 4, padding y of 3, rounded of small, font of bold, and I'm going to say text of white, and here it's going to be submit. That is the message for the button. So yep, let's format once and see how it's looking, and let's see if we need to make any changes. So let's go back over here. Okay, we need to make the changes for the form tag. Okay, currently it's not looking that good. So over here, let's initialize the class name over here. So class name, we're going to say flex of column, space y of 2 for each of the children that is present. I'm going to give a specific width, so width of 60. In the small screen I want to be width of full, and mx is going to be auto. So yep, format once, save the file, and let's come back over here. Okay, there are some changes to be made because it is taking up the entire space. Let's refresh once. Let's come back to the component over here. Okay, so over here we have our div field and then the form, but over here in the web page it is not showing up correctly according to the styles we've given. So I think we need to initialize one more piece of div tag, that is after the h3, so that we can give the combined styles to both of the children. So here I'm going to say div, and then over here I'm going to put in both of the div tags, that is this one over here as well as my form attribute. So copy the form and we're gonna paste it over here, that is the second children. So format once. Okay, so now we're going to give the style for the outermost div. So let's say class name over here, and here firstly we're going to give it flex. It's going to be a flex column, space y of 5. Okay, items of start, and we're going to give justify of center. So now we should be seeing the correct design. Okay, so it's almost looking better. We need to give some spacing towards this part, that is for the name and email. So for that, let's come to the form and target this div that contains two inputs. So I'm going to say class name space y of 2 flex of column, and from the medium I want it to be flex of a row. So I'm just going to say flex. So save the file. Okay, that's looking better. Okay, if you want, you can increase the width of the fields over here. So we're gonna do that over here. So we're gonna say width of 80, or let's give the same thing for everything. Okay, so that's looking better. So now I'm not sure why it is coming towards the, it's not coming towards the center part. Okay, that is with respect to all the other components. So let's look into the topmost div container. So over here, yeah, I think we have made a mistake for the spelling. So it's going to be MX auto. Yep, that's looking nice. So next we're going to give the styling for these two texts, right? So let's come back to the div. I mean, for the p tag over here, I'm going to say class name firstly. Text is going to be Excel. Text is going to be white, and then text of center. So I'm going to copy the same piece of styling and give to the next part, that is the next piece of text. Yep, I think that's looking fine. Okay, so we are done with the entire design of our portfolio. Okay, now the next step is we're going to initialize a dependency, that is a React hook form, so that if anyone presses on the submit button after pressing, after entering all of the required details, then there would be so then all the details should come to my particular email, right? So for that, firstly I'm going to open up a terminal, and then I'm going to install the dependency for React hook form. So here I'm going to say yarn add React hook form and press on enter. So if you want, you can check out this one on Chrome and look into how exactly we need to work. Okay, so React hook form. So the first link. So let's press on get started. Okay, so basically we need to initialize this particular register function, and we need to give the message for that. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing over here in our form attribute. So firstly we're going to give I think it has been installed. Let's check that over here. Yeah, React hook form is installed. So let's come back to the contact, and we're going to give the properties to the input. So here we're going to say register of the first one is going to be name. So pretty much we're going to give for the remaining things as well. So this is going to be email, and for the subject we're going to write register of subject, and for the final one it's going to be a message. All right, and after that we're going to initialize the on submit for the form. So let's do that over here. So on submit, it's going to say handle submit. So firstly let's initialize our hooks that is coming from the use form. So here we're going to say const register comma handle submit, equals to use form. Import use form from the React hook form, just like this. So the same register we are using over here, that is this one. Okay, so next step is over here on submit, we're going to say handle submit of on submit. This function we're going to define in just a bit. Okay, so let's go back to the top and then start defining our on submit function. So if at all the user presses on the submit button after pressing on all of the details, we're gonna send the mail to our email, right? So here I'm going to say const on submit equals to basically the form data. Okay, so here basically I'm gonna write window dot location dot href. I'm gonna make use of my backticks. So here I'm gonna say mail to. So here I'm just gonna hard code my mail. You can write your mail over here. Okay, and we're gonna write in the subject. So subject is gonna be form data dot subject. All right, and after the subject we're gonna pass in the body. So here I'm gonna say question mark, I mean and ampersand body. That is going to be form data dot body. Okay, or you can give a different message if you want to, that is coming from the other person. Okay, so after that we're going to pass in the form data dot message. So form data dot message, and after that finally we have the form data dot email. Okay, so here I'm going to say form data, not email. Yep, the form data dot email itself, sorry. So form data dot body, form data dot message, and then form data dot email. Yep, so yeah, this is the functionality for submitting the form from the other person. Okay, so that's it. So now the next step is we're going to initialize sanity into a project structure. Okay, so that we can have the backend for the experience cards. Okay, and as well as for the skills, right? So yep, let's go into the terminal and then create a new sanity project. So here I'm going to paste the code to install a new sanity project. So it's going to be npm create sanity at latest. So I'm going to press on enter. So it's going to ask us to create a new project or choose an existing project. So here I'm going to press in create new project. So for the project name I'm going to say developer portfolio and press on enter. So use the default dataset configuration, press on enter. So would you like to add configuration files for a sanity project in Next.js folder? Here I'm going to press on no. Okay, so this is going to be a project output path that is default. So let's press on enter. So here in this case I'm going to make use of the block schema. So for TypeScript, no. So package manager I'm going to choose yarn and then press on enter. So this should take in a couple of minutes to initialize a project. So let's give it some time. Okay guys, so our project has been initialized as you can see with the success message. So here in the file tree, as you can see, a new folder that is developer portfolio has been created for us, and we have a schemas. Okay, so these are predefined schemas since we have chosen the block schema. That is, we have the author, block content, category, index.js where all of the schemas are exported, and the post.js. Right, so the first step is we're going to run the sanity project. So to do that, firstly we need to come into the developer portfolio folder. So here I'm going to say cd developer portfolio. So enter. So here I'm going to write yarn run dev. So let's press on enter. So this should open us the sanity project. Okay, that is hosted on this particular URL. So let's press on this. So let's log in with Google. So as you can see, this is our developer portfolio schema. Okay, so what and all schemas have been defined inside of our schemas folder. Everything is going to come up over here. So in our case, we are interested in two things, that is the experience.js and the skill.js. So let's create that. So let's press on schemas, new file, experience.js. So here let's start defining the schema for the experience. So firstly I'm going to say import define type from sanity. Okay, so here I'm going to write export default define type. Okay, so the name is going to be experience So the title is gonna be experience with E capital. Okay, so we're gonna write in the type. So type is gonna be a document, and after this we're gonna have the fields. So it's gonna be an array. So the first field is gonna be the name. So we're gonna say name is gonna be name. Title is gonna be, so I'm gonna say title is gonna be name with the N capital, and this is gonna be the type of string. So the next field is gonna be the image. Okay, so I'm gonna say name is gonna be image. The title is gonna be image with I capital, and this is also gonna be a type of string. Alright, so the final one is gonna be description. So you can have n number of descriptions. So I have initialized array for this. So name is gonna be description. The title is gonna be description. The type is gonna be array. So type is going to be array, and we're going to write the of. So it's going to be type of string. Okay, so that's it about the experience.js. So this is going to be the experience schema. So the next thing is we're going to create a new file inside of a schema, inside of a schemas folder. That's going to be skill.js. So here let's start defining a skills schema. So here I'm going to write import define type from sanity. Alright, so here I'm gonna write export a default define type. So firstly I'm gonna write my name. Name is gonna be skill for this. Okay, title is gonna be skill with S capital. This is gonna be of course type the type of document. Alright, so after this we have all of the fields coming up. So I'm going to say fields. Okay, and the name is going to be ID, and the title is going to be ID with I capital. Okay, so type is going to be of string. Alright, so yeah, after that we have the progress. So we're gonna say name is gonna be progress for that particular skill, right? So progress, and we have our title. So title is gonna be progress with P capital, and we have the type. It's gonna be type of number, and after that we have the name of the skill. So name is gonna be type. Basically title is going to be type with T capital, and type is going to be string. Okay, so that's it for the skill schema. Okay, so we have defined two things, that is experience and skill. So here we're going to export it inside of the index.js. So you can remove everything, or you can basically delete also. So here I'm going to say import skill from skill, and after that here I'm going to say import experience from experience file. So here I just need two things, that is skill and experience. Okay, so as soon as I save the file and then go back to our web page, that is over here, you need to be seeing only two things, that is the skill and the experience. So press on this particular icon. So here you can add all of your skills, all of your experience with the help of name, image, and the description. So with the skills also, you can add n number of skills. Press on this icon. So you can give the ID, progress, and the type of skill, right? So yeah, I'm gonna add the details for the experience as well as the skills, and then come back. Okay, and we need to make one more change also. So if you press over here on your icon, let's press on manage project. So you would get the project ID over here, or it is there inside of the sanity.cli.js also, I guess. Yeah, you can get the project ID here as well. So now we need to initialize our client first, and before that let's head over to the API, the course origins. So here only this particular origin is allowed. So we need to add one more thing, that is our website URL. That's going to be localhost 3001. So we're going to add this one and we're going to say allow credentials and then press on save. Okay, so as you can see, even now this is allowed. So yeah, we have done this. So as I told, I'm going to add in a bunch of data for the experience schema as well as a skill schema and then come back. Added the required details for the skills as well as the experience. Okay, so let's check out the skills. So I've just created 10 different types of details inside of the skills schema, as you can see, with the unique ID, the progress and the type of that particular skill. Okay, so you can add how many of the skills you want, just like this. So that's it about the skills part. So the next thing is experience. So I have added the same thing that is there over here, that is 3 experiences. I've just copied down the exact same thing for the description as well. So let's check out the first one. So I've given the name, the image and the description, which is in the form of a array of strings, as you can see. So the same thing for the remaining 2. Okay, so with the help of this, we're gonna again fetch all of this data into our front end part, right? So firstly, what we need to do is, firstly we need to initialize our client. So even before that, we need to install 2 things, that is Sanity and Next Sanity. So we're gonna install this in the main folder itself, that is developer portfolio. So here I'm gonna say yarn add Sanity and Next Sanity. So let's press on enter. Okay, so both the packages have been installed, so we can check that in the main folder. So in the package.json over here, so as you can see, Next Sanity and then Sanity has been installed. Okay, so now the next step is we're gonna initialize our client. So to do that, press on this developer portfolio, new file, and I'm going to say sanity.js. So here firstly I'm going to say import create client from Next Sanity, and here I'm going to say export const client equals to create client. It's going to take in the project ID. So as I already showed you, the project ID is there inside of the sanity.cli.js. Copy that out and we're going to paste it over here, and we're going to write in data set. It's going to be production, and I'm going to say use CDN to be true, and we're going to pass in the API version. Okay, so save the file. So now we have initialized our client. So now the next step is we're going to go into the cards component and then get the required data. So let's go over here, cards.js, and we're going to initialize, is it cards or okay, so not cards, experience.js. So over here, firstly I'm going to initialize async function to get the required details. So here I'm going to say async function get data. So with the help of the grok language, we're going to query the data, right? So here I'm going to say return client, import client from that particular sanity file which we just defined. So we're going to say return client dot fetch of, we're going to initialize grok, import that from Next Sanity. Okay, and over here we're going to pass in basically the query. So it's going to be to get all of the details of the experience schema. We're going to say star underscore type equals to experience. Alright, so we can even try this out in the Sanity Studio as well. So let's just copy this out, and we're gonna go back to the Sanity Studio. Let's press on this button, that is vision. So here we're gonna pass in the query, and let's press on fetch. So as you can see, it's gonna give us all of the details of this particular schema. So let's say we want for the skills. So here we're gonna say equals to skill. Okay, so we have 10 items and it's going to show all of the details, right? So with the help of this data, we're going to call the function over here. So yeah, that is it about the function. So here I'm going to firstly initialize my state to hold the data. So I'm going to say const posts comma set posts equals to use state. Initially it's going to be empty array. Okay, so make sure you import use state from React. Also initialize the directive use client. So here I'm going to say use state. Okay, I think we also need use effect, so let's import use effect as well. And over here firstly I'm going to say use effect. We're going to call this one, so empty dependency array. And over here firstly let's call the get data function. So let's call that over here like this, and with the help of the then method, which is going to have the data inside of it. So here I'm going to say set the posts to be that particular data. Okay, so if at all there is any error while implementing this, we're going to catch the error. So I'm going to say catch of error with the help of a console.log message. Here I'm going to say error fetching the posts and show me that particular error, just like this. So format once, and yep, let's save the file. Okay, let's check out our web page once if there is any error. Refresh. Okay, so it says we need to add the use client directive at the top of the file. Okay, so I think in any one of the file we have missed it, I guess. So let's check that out. So in the body contact, save the file, experience header, skill, I think for skills is given, and yep, I think yeah. So let's come back to the cards, I mean the experience.js file. So save the file, and yeah, hopefully we have no errors. So now the next step is instead of the hard-coded data that is cards data, here I'm going to pass in posts. Okay, so we should be seeing no changes because I've just copied the same data and then pasted in the Sanity backend. So save the file, and yep, yeah, it's looking better. Okay, so yeah, this is all. So this data is coming right from the backend, all right, with the information that we've given in Sanity database. So yeah, that is working fine. So now the next step is we're going to fetch the skills also in the same similar manner. So let's go to skills.js over here, and firstly again I'm going to initialize the same kind of async function. So here I'm going to say async function get data. So here I'm going to say return client, import client from that particular Sanity file dot fetch. So I'm just going to copy, firstly initialize the grok. So I'm going to say grok, and here I'm going to pass in my query. So just copy it down from here. It's going to be the same thing for the skills. Okay, so yes, that's it. And yeah, now again we're going to initialize the same state and use effect. So here I'm going to say const posts comma set posts equals to use state for empty array. All right, I'm just going to copy the use effect. It's going to be the same thing. So use effect, and I'm going to paste it over here. Make sure you import both the things. Yeah, use effect is already imported. Use state needs to be imported. So use state, and yep, let's save the file. Okay, so now instead of the hard-coded values that is skills.map, I'm going to say posts.map over here. Okay, so hopefully we should be seeing the skills coming from the backend. So okay, let's refresh once. Yeah, So as you can see, all of the data is coming from the backend. So that's looking absolutely fine. So I think that's it. So we have, developed a simple kind of portfolio with a unique design and animation. And apart from that, we have the experience cards as well. So you can change this whenever you want, or you can add more number of cards as well. And you can even change the skills as well. And we have the contact form. So one thing you can add on to this kind of portfolio is of course the projects. So you can add the project similar to this, or you can make it look even more bigger, providing different kinds of information regarding the project, or even provide the GitHub link to that particular project. So I think that's it about this video. You can try and deploy this using I guess Vercel, right? So firstly you need to post the code into GitHub, and after logging into Vercel you need to get that particular repository that you have pushed into GitHub, and then you need to press on the deploy button. So even the smallest errors, if you have in the code, then it's going to error out and you would not be seeing the final link. So the most common errors are in the map. So when you basically don't provide the key while mapping, it is going to error out while deploying in Vercel. That is one of the most frequent errors. Okay, so you can do that part. That is pretty simple. Okay, so I think, yep, that's it about this project. So let's see in the next one, and then thank you for watching.